Join Pastor Robert on Real News Talk Today on Spotify. Go to the Spotify app, then click Podcast New Releases. Type in Real News Talk Today in the search bar. Click Podcasts and Shows. Scroll down until you see the icon of Real News Talk Today with Pastor Robert and click it. Click the follow button and then also click the bell so you can be notified of new podcasts. Then you're ready to join Pastor Robert L. Carpenter II for news, cultural talk, controversial subjects, and special guest interviews on Real News Talk Today on Spotify. Let's go.
And this is our church. You know, I've always heard people say, well, that church doesn't feed me. If it doesn't feed you, go where one does. Don't criticize the leadership. Stand behind them. So now, let's shake this up.
Billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. Make it move.
My honor and privilege to track down somebody who could, like I said, Brother Cliff spoke about the ministry in the church. Ministry with Pastor Ryan goes on outside of the church also. It goes on weekdays and weekends. It goes on all the time. This man was like getting hold of the president. I kid you not. I'm honored to have him here. I'm going to let him take it away. He'll introduce himself, if the music didn't already, and be blessed.
I think this is Hello? All right, good morning. I just got off a plane, so I'm going to keep my water here because I need to stay hydrated because I got to get on another plane tomorrow. For y'all that don't know me, I'm Thaddeus Bullard, a.k.a. WWE Superstar and Global Ambassador of Titus O'Neil. So I got a chance to meet Pastor Ryan when he became the lead pastor almost 4 years ago, I think it is. We ended up doing a leadership conference out here. And the first thing he said to me was, you know, man, I see all the amazing things you do in the community. And, you know, I just got appointed as the lead pastor of this church. Riverhills Church, which is right down the street from now what is my school, Thaddeus and Bullard Academy at Sly Middle Magnet School, right up the street. And you know, he said, you know, I want to take this church to a whole nother level. I want to be out in the community. I want to bring people from all walks of life together, and I see you're able to do that and have been able to do that successfully. And you know, I want to serve. And to me, that's all I want to do. Like, this is not me, so don't get used to this. Don't get used to me being out as, everybody knows me, knows that I'm not running for office ever. I don't like politics, and I'm not a religious person. I'm a relationship person. My relationship is with God. I believe in God, and Jesus is the Son of God, and I believe also, too, based on the fact that I'm not even literally supposed to be here. I'm the product of a rape. My mom was raped at 11 years old, driven from St. Augustine, Florida, down to Boynton Beach, Florida, to have an abortion, and she jumped out of the car, and 3 months later, I was born. I've never met my biological dad a day in my life. I was labeled a kid that would be dead or in jail by the time I was 16, and I believed that for a greater part of my young adult life. I got a chance to go to a place up in Live Oak, Florida. I know nobody in here is from Live Oak. I hope not. Then again, I hope so, because there are some very good people there, and my life was changed there at the Florida Sheriff's Boys Ranch. And my path there was all, literally a God thing. Like, the list is still to this day 1,000 names long, and Barbara Wilfork, who was a family counselor to my mom, the mother of Vince Wilfork, if you guys are Patriots fans or Houston Texans fans. He's an all-pro NFL player, just recently retired. Me and him played Pop Warner football together. And his mom was my mom's counselor. And she ended up going to the sheriff of Palm Beach County to get me basically skipped up on the list, and that's how I got into the Florida Sheriff's Boys Ranch. I was an underperforming student, not because I'm not dumb, I'm not stupid, and one of the reasons why I have this affinity for being involved in public education, although my kids do go to private school, which was financially a very hard decision to make, because I can't just see continuously paying $30,000 a year for each one of my kids to go to school. But transparently speaking, both of my sons are very good athletes. There's a pretty good chance. Well, my oldest son just signed to go play football over at the University of Central Florida, so I don't have to worry about his college for the next 4 years. But I wanted my kids, my two sons, to learn how to operate in white America. I'm not one to sit here and dwell on the negative, but I will present the realities of the world. And as a black man that didn't grow up with a father, I can make all the excuses in the world. I didn't. As a black man that grew up, without a father, poor, homeless at times, no food, bouncing from place to place, I had every excuse, if I chose it to be an excuse, to go on the other side, to be in jail or to be dead. But my life has been changed, or was changed, at the Florida Sheriff's Boys Ranch with simple conversation. I was actually getting ready to get kicked off of the Boys Ranch because I signed a contract that I wouldn't get into any more fights. And 30 minutes after I signed that contract, I got into a fight. As I think back on it, I just don't think the people at the Boys Ranch knew that one day I'd be making millions of dollars and running around with boots and baby oil on TV fighting. But, God knew. So I was getting ready to get kicked off of the Boys Ranch. The meeting had been held that, the decision had been made that I was going to be sent home. And Mr. Pat Minogue, a white guy from Chicago, Illinois, that ran the Boys Ranch, called me in the office, and he said, why do you think it is that you get into trouble all the time? And I had my head down, and I said, I don't know, man, I'm just a bad kid. And he said, there's no such thing as a bad kid. And I looked up and I said, how can you say that? Because I've been told I'll be dead or in jail by the time I was 16. I'll never graduate from high school, which at the time nobody in my family had graduated from high school. I'll never go to college. I'm too uncoordinated to play sports. The list went on and on and on. And he said, I'm not going to give you the answer to that because I truly believe in my heart that you're going to turn things around and you're going to find the answer out for yourself. Now, I'm going to tick a lot of people off because I'm not going to send you home. I'm going to go completely against the decision that was made. And he said, I'm going to tell you something and I want you to believe it. He said, I love you and I believe in you. I love you and I believe in you. So a white guy from Chicago, Illinois had no reason in the world to love me or anybody else, but he chose to be in a profession that helped change people's lives. And a lot of people had told me that they loved me up to that point, but then turned around and abused me, beat me, cursed me, etc. But nobody had ever told me that they believed that I can do anything. It was always the complete opposite of what I can't do and what I won't do. But there's a God that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So God knows. I'll call the mayor and I'll be like, hey, Jane, I want to do a parade. And I want to gather a whole bunch of people, and we're going to march down this street, this, and that. Oh, that sounds awesome. When do you want to do it? I was thinking next week. Well, it takes 30 days to get a permit for a parade. But we had that parade the following week. So I just feel like, so when I tell you people that, like, I don't believe, I don't care about politics. I don't care about religion. Like, I'm a relationship person because God, whatever God people serve, whether it's Allah, Jesus Christ, the pew, whatever, I feel like all religious people should be led by love and are led by love. We got radicals in every form of religion. We have Catholics that don't get it right. We have Pentecostals that don't get it right. We have Muslims that don't get it right. We have people from all different sectors of religion that get it wrong all the time. And fortunately for all of us in here, I believe all of us in here, we believe in a God that can always make things right. So my life took a turn because my mindset took a turn because people invested in me when they had nothing to gain in return. And so I went from being that kid that was supposed to be dead or in jail by the time I was 16 to being a valedictorian in my high school class, the #1 recruit in the country. Could have went to any school in the country, and I chose to go to the greatest university in the world, the University of Florida. Go Gators. I graduated from the University of Florida undergrad in 3 years. I got my master's degree my 4th year there. I was the vice president of student government. I'm in the University of Florida Hall of Fame. And one of the main reasons why I don't like politics to this day, because every single person that held placards and signs and worked for me at student government is still in politics to today. Our Attorney General, Ashley Moody, she helped me become student body vice president. The head of agriculture, Nikki Freed, helped me become student body vice president. Dane Eagle, like the list goes on and on of all these people that are in this political space. And I understood the political space once I went through it at Florida. If you can run for office at the University of Florida or Florida State and be successful, you have a pretty good open avenue to be in politics. And I also found out, how things really work in politics, And whether I'm a Republican or a Democrat, I don't care. I just want to do the work. And as soon as I say I'm a Republican or a Democrat, I automatically cut off half of my influence because of ignorance of politics. As soon as you tell somebody, I believe in God, and you have people that are not believers, cut off half your influence. They go from wanting to be over your house all the time to being worried as to whether or not you're going to pray, ask them to pray for you all the time, or you put oil on them when they come in the house. So many stereotypical things and religious things that people do that make zero sense when it comes to actually loving human beings. I've traveled all over the world. There's no place in this world that I haven't been. There's not one continent. There's not one world wonder. There's not one thing I haven't seen. For a guy that grew up poor, couldn't afford, and I wore these in tribute to you today too. I know that's the Jordan pastor. Every time he come up here, and I know some of y'all older school members probably didn't quite get him when he got here because he was wearing Jordans. He wasn't stuffy and claustrophobic in a suit. He's trying to make change. You can't make change doing the same thing everybody else has done prior to him. So, and he's still a pretty dang good ambassador for God. and his family represents what love is. And I'm honored to call him a brother and a friend. And would I get off the plane for a lot of other pastors in this city or anywhere else? Absolutely not. I would go. I haven't eaten yet. And he knows how I am when I'm hungry. But today is a very special day for this church. In my honest opinion, I think it's a shift that has been going on for the last 4 years with a lot of resistance. And I don't know the ins and outs because I don't attend this church, and we don't talk about church business. We talk about, hey, I need you to come and cook 500 hamburgers and hot dogs at my event, you know. Or Riley's doing a project in school and he wants to use you as an example. That's what we talk about. Or if I call him, he'll ask me, you know, do you need anything? And can I pray for you? And that's the kind of pastor I love. My pastor is Brian Poe, Revealing Truth Ministries, it's a non-denominational church, but his dad changed my life. His dad passed away several years ago. He's the only other person that I called dad. Called two-man dad my entire life. Pastor Greg Poe, who Pastor Ryan knew of, I think worked with a little bit. And I see a lot of Greg Poe Sr. and Pastor Ryan, because see, Greg Poe Sr. could be on the golf course, and he was the same dude that he would be in a church. And he could be at a house party and people are drinking or whatever, and he'd be the same person that he would be at the church. And he wouldn't judge folks. He wouldn't be sitting over there wondering, well, you know God says you shouldn't drink and you shouldn't smoke and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Man, listen, every single positive thing that I know about church was done with a sinner. I know pastors that used to be drunkards and whoremongers and everything else, and now they leading thousands and thousands and thousands of people to God. They're helping change people's lives. So we got to get out of this old mindset of like, if you go to church, like that makes you, you have to be a certain way. Like, that ain't God. How can you say you serve an almighty God, yet you want to do things in a very minute, distinguished way according to what you think church should be? This is just a building. Every last one of y'all are the church. You're led by a man and a woman, and in years to come, a son that was placed here to help move people to the next level of blessing. But some of y'all are scared to be blessed because you just going to go only to the edge and you're worried about the risk. If I tithe this much, you know, I got to worry about this. If I do this, let me tell y'all something. A lot of people don't know this, but in 2009, I got denied from being a high school football coach at Chamberlain High School. I actually just saw the guy, Richard Shanti, who was the athletic director at Chamberlain. And every time I see him, I give him the biggest hug, and I announce to the world that this man made me a multimillionaire. Because he didn't hire me as the high school football coach. And I give him the biggest hug, and I look at him, I say, man, you are the secret sauce behind Titus O'Neil. But prior to Titus O'Neil and traveling and this and that, I got divorced in 2009. 2 weeks later, I signed with WWE. But 2008, it took me like a year and a half to get divorced. And I had to pay, I got 2 children, I had to pay child support, and I was paying way more than I needed to be paying, considering I had my kids more than my ex-wife did, but I paid it. Because I always said, even at 13 years old, I saw my best friend lose his dad, who was a drug dealer, but he was his hero. And his dad did a lot of amazing things. He paid for kids to play football. And he told his son all the time, you got to get good grades, you got to do this. I don't be better than me, don't do this. So he was his hero. And then when his dad got murdered, and I saw the response of how this guy was his hero, I said, if I ever get a chance to be a dad, I want to be my kid's hero. I want them to be coming to me, asking me for things. And I'm not going to respond to them the same way that my elders responded to me. So if I ask them a question, if they ask me a question, I'm not going to say, because I said so. Because there's a pretty good chance if you keep saying, because I said so, they're going to go to somebody else that's not going to give them the information that you should have gave them to start with. Even if they don't like the explanation as to why you do it, you explain to them. You don't just tell them because I said so. So during this time, I was substitute teaching. I don't go out to clubs to this day because of this experience. So I used to go to a place called the Blue Martini, which is over by the International Mall. Yeah, I know some of y'all still probably go. So, and I used to have to go in there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. After everybody left, my buddy had a cleaning business. And I used to go in there and help them clean up afterwards. And the stuff that I saw and was around and seeing people coming out of the place, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't drink alcohol. I'll drink wine, which the Bible says is okay. So, I know we got them super Christians out there. He shouldn't be drinking. You ain't reading from the same Bible I am, but it says don't drink to be drunken, and I don't get drunk. So at either rate, seeing these people coming out and feeling their spirit of being lost and empty, even though they had danced, all this stuff, like I never wanted to be the person who was like, oh, let's go get toe up. I'll go get full. I will eat buffets. I will eat all kinds. I will be gluttonous, but I will not be toe up. And just seeing all that, smelling all that, and doing all that, like I said, God, if you ever give me a chance to reach people that drink and smoke and all these things, that I don't want to be the person that's influenced by all that stuff. I want to continue to remain who I am. And before I even met Pastor Ryan, or long after I met Pastor Poe, those two men always remained who they were. And so even when I signed with WWE, financially, there were some times where, it was decent money in the beginning. Actually, it was really good money compared to what I was making. But God would tell me, hey man, sow here. Hey, do this. Hey, do that. And I would think it was, man, God, you tripping. I ain't got it. But I would do it anyway. So over the last several years, 13 years, I've come to know and grow and learn that obedience is far greater than sacrifice. Obedience is far greater than sacrifice. You guys are under a leader that is obedient. And he is going to sacrifice some of y'all. And it ain't his sacrifice, it's God removing certain people so that what God has to do through him to you and to put out into the world can be done. And I had to lose a lot of people around me in order to really truly understand how good God can be, and start speaking stuff into existence and start just doing. And do it unapologetically. I don't give a flying flip. That's what Pastor Poe used to say, because he ain't curse. I curse, but I'm in a church, and I respect him. But he knows I curse. I've been working on it though. Last night I spoke in Atlanta at a literacy program for kids, recognizing young authors, and I said one curse word. I was proud of myself. But I also had a sign language person standing next to me, interpreting everything. So I told her in the beginning, hey, it's about to be a little ride. We're gonna work on it. And hell was the thing that I said, which I think is not a cuss word, but I will tell people to go to hell in a minute too. But that's not. I want people to understand. It was important for me to come here today because I truly believe in honoring those that honor me. Most importantly, I feel that we should honor those that truly are a living example of what honoring God looks like. So I don't know all the ins and outs of this service. I know what I've seen has been awesome. The presentation of Pastor Courtney, the singing. I was sitting up in the balcony in the dark because we know you got eyes behind your back of your head, but you can't see up. But I will say this, I don't know what the plans are, but I think anytime you really want to show appreciation for somebody, you sow into them and you sow into their vision. And I don't know what you have, what your vision is, because we don't talk about church. But I do know what the vision of God is for you as a man to move mindsets, to move lives, to move spirits, to move generational barriers. And you can't do that doing the same thing, the same way, and not having people come along the ride for you, with you, that truly are committed to you. You've been committed to me, you've been committed to my vision, I'm gonna be committed to you and your vision. And I'm gonna start that today by saying that I'm gonna sow $10,000 into you and your ministry. I think that men like you don't come into people's lives for no reason. And I'm truly grateful that you came into my life because I understand that, despite all that I've been blessed with, that there's still so much more to do. And I can't do it by myself. And you can't do it by yourself. And you won't do it by yourself. Because there are people in this room that will band behind you and already are on board to do that. But my word to you is that I know for a fact that what God has equipped me to do and what he's equipped you to do will continuously change generational lives and situations forever. I stand before y'all as the most imperfect man you'll probably ever see. But man, I serve the most perfect God you'll ever encounter. And he is good. He is great. I look at how he has used me, how he continues to use me, and how he continues. I mean, I was in Saudi Arabia last week at the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia's house eating. I've been with 7, 8 presidents eating in private dinners. When they say that God will place you amongst kings and queens, like that's a real thing. But he may not have the title of president or king or prince. And the title of pastor is really just a technicality to what God has really called him to be. He is a man of God, after God's own heart. And if you're a woman or a man of God, and you're in agreement with me in regards to speaking things and praying things and doing things that will edify the mission that God has placed in his life, not only for him and for this church, but for his family. It's great to do all the singing and dancing and all this stuff, but man, I can tell you right now, 100%, that's to me today is honorable, but it's transformational. Tomorrow will be a whole new day. He'll still be the pastor of this church. They'll still have the struggles they have, and I treat it and look at it the same way that I do when people get all fired up about Thanksgiving and they want to go and give meals to the homeless. And they do that and they feel good about themselves. And the people feel good about it at the moment. It's very transactional. I'm into transformational change. My life was changed because of transformational things. So we cannot be a transactional church and expect transformational blessings and transformational abundance. So your mindset has to change, your outlook has to change, and if you can't see it, get behind his vision, you'll be able to see it. So, Rebecca, I don't know if this is what you wanted when I came up here. I didn't have nothing. Y'all can see I ain't have nothing written. I do have a scripture that I want to put up on the thing, but I just did that because we was in church. But you can go to your Bible and it says 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 8. I am not commanding you to do this, but I am testing how genuine your love is by comparing it with the eagerness of the other churches. I'm not commanding you to do this, but I am testing how genuine your love is by comparing it with the eagerness of the other churches. I don't have to question how genuine this man's love is. So you shouldn't be questioning him either. And if you're comparing what he's doing to another church, then as the person said earlier, y'all go to the other church. If what they doing fires you up, hey man, go get fed over there. God gonna replace you with like 500 other people. Hey, if it's tight, it's right. So if your butthole getting tight around here right now, hey, what I'm saying is right. Quit questioning we question everything in society. We question whether or not we should do this and whether or not we should do that. Man, just go do the work. Just go do the work. Let God use you to do whatever needs to be done. Just go do the work. It don't matter if you're a Republican, don't matter if you're a Democrat, don't matter if you're a Muslim, don't matter if you're who. Just do what God tells you to do. Sorry for yelling. I get fired up, man, because I just want people to move. Y'all be great, man. I love y'all and I believe in y'all. Peace.